Welcome to 5 Good Minutes.
You're listening to today's inspirational message on the book of Ecclesiastes with Kurt Bjorklund.
So Ecclesiastes 2 has given us these ways in which we tend to want to grasp after the wind, seeking pleasure, productivity, possessions, prestige. And then there's one more that he gives here, which is a bit of a curveball. And it doesn't have the same letter, so it doesn't make for as good a message or a remembrance. But here in verses 12 through 18, 17-ish, he says, the vanity of living wisely. That's the heading in the text. It says, so I turned to consider wisdom and madness and folly. For what can man do who comes after the king? Only what's already been done. Then I saw that there's more to gain in wisdom than in folly. And there's more to gain in light than darkness. The wise person has his eyes in his head, but the fool walks in darkness. And yet I perceived that the same event happens to them all. Then I said in my heart, what happens to the fool will happen to me also? Why then have I been so wise? And I said in my heart, this also is vanity. For of the wise as of the fool, there is no enduring remembrance, seeing that in the days to come, all will have been long forgotten. How the wise dies is just like the fool. So I hated life because what is done under the sun was grievous to me. And all is vanity and a striving after the wind. So now he says this, he says, oh, okay, I tried all these other things. And then I said, I'm going to try to live with wisdom. And wisdom for Solomon was ultimately striving directly after God, not just like good ideas, because the book of Proverbs is all about aligning your life with God's way, and Solomon was the human author of much of Proverbs, and so he's saying, what I wanted was to seek wisdom, and he said, and ultimately I found that even that felt like a striving after the wind, because the fool ends up the same way. Have you ever noticed if you've been around an older person who passes away and their life gets reduced to living in a small room at the end of their life, which anybody who lives long enough, that's often what happens. There's really no difference from how they lived their life and all that they had, how they were regarded at the end of their life. And this is what Solomon's looking at. He's saying, all these great things, and I'm going to end up just like somebody who was a fool and didn't live the same way. And now we come to this statement again at the end where he says that there's nothing better for a person than that he should eat, drink, and find enjoyment in his toil. This is from the hand of God, for apart from him, who can eat or have enjoyment? And then he says that this really simple phrase, he says, for the one who pleases him, God has given wisdom and knowledge and joy. But to the sinner, he's given the business of gathering and collecting. So what is the key to this chapter in a sense? It's to say, when you give yourself to pleasing God, then he gives you the ability to have wisdom, knowledge, and joy in the midst of the chasing after the wind. And he says, but to the sinner, he's given the business of gathering and collecting to give to the one who pleases God. And he says, but even this is a striving after the wind because I still end up with nothing else. So the end of the matter is really to say, please God and enjoy every moment that God gives you, because this life does have a relentless rhythm and cadence to it that comes to an end. And other than living for what God has called you to, there is no guarantee about where this life will take you. So as we come to the end of this chapter, can you identify where you're most likely to be chasing after the wind and instead sit in the wind and enjoy it and say, I'll please God where I am today and enjoy life, but I don't need to strive and chase, because there isn't a lot that comes from that other than the frustration of saying, I have sought to get something that this thing can't give me. You know, thinking about a thing that can't give you what it promises. Have you ever taken a kid to a place like McDonald's and bought the Happy Meal. And here's what you know as an adult. Like a kid will beg for the Happy Meal. Give me the Happy Meal. I need the Happy Meal. And what they don't say, what the kid doesn't say, is if you give me this Happy Meal, I will be happy forevermore. What happens is they get a meal, they get a cheap toy, some bad food, and they are happy for a few minutes, and then they're unhappy because the Happy Meal didn't actually make them happy. It just was a chasing after the wind. And all of these things are like ultimate Happy Meal pursuits, where we're saying to ourselves, this will be something that will make me happy. This is the thing. And what Solomon is doing is he's peeling back the layer and just saying, understand it's not going to make you as happy as you think it will. Enjoy the Happy Meal. You don't need to not have a Happy Meal, but understand that that's all it is. It's not lasting joy.
Thanks for joining us here today. There's a lot of great content to explore on Orchard Hill Plus and on the Orchard Hill main feed from the weekend. Have a great day.